My name is Sophie Carrillo-Mendel. I'm an associate facilitator with Sac State, the Consensus and Collaboration Program, and I'm providing the Welcome and Training Workshop overview right now. Our purpose for this meeting today is to review and address questions regarding the recommended approach for including reduced self-reliance accounting and implementation reporting in the Urban Water Management Plan. In just a moment, Catherine Marquez will go over the Delta Plan, and then Jennifer Nevels will provide the bulk of the training today about the 2020 Urban Water Management Plan Guidebook Technical Approach to Reduced Reliance Accounting. Then Julie will wrap up. Julia Ekstrom from DWR will wrap up and talk about upcoming trainings. And Julie's going to speak a little bit about those upcoming trainings right now. Julia, you're on mute.
Okay. Great, thank you. Thank you, Sophie. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. My name's Julie Ekstrom from Department of Water Resources. And so this is the first of a suite of training sessions to help you prepare different pieces of the urban water management plans. And so, of course, many of you may remember that in the past, in the 2015 version of the urban water management plan preparation, DWR held a series of in-person workshops around the state. And of course, with COVID-19, we weren't able to do that. And so we're shifting up the formatting a bit. So what we are doing is that we're having focused webinars, and each of these will be recorded, and then they're going to be posted on DWR's YouTube page as their own in kind of a package of in a playlist. And so we'll be sending out that link. I think Sophie has it there too, but we'll send it out to the listserv. So far we have 5 scheduled, and several others are expected in January, but we have 5 for December, and this is the first one. So do you have a slide that shows which training sessions there are, Sophie, or is that at the end?
We're going to go over that at the end.
Okay, great. Okay, so welcome everybody, and looking forward to going through this topic with you.
Great, thank you, Julie. So as Julie just said, the training recordings will be posted to the DWR YouTube page. That link is right here, and my colleague Julia Van Horn will share that in the chat as well. This presentation and other materials are also available on the WUI Stakeholder SharePoint. If you don't have access to the WUI Stakeholder SharePoint, you can contact James Campagna at wui@water.ca.gov, and Julia will also share that address in the link in the chat as well. So just to orient us today, let's get an idea for the level of detail that folks are looking for. Here's our first poll for the day. We'll have a few polls throughout the day that just gather some information about who's in the room and what kind of information you're looking for. So a poll should pop up on your screen, and this poll is asking how much experience you have preparing urban water management plans. I'll let that run for about a minute. Looks like there are a lot of folks here for whom this is their first urban water management plan. Great, I see the majority. This is their first urban water management plan, but they have support from more experienced colleagues. There are a few for whom this is their second urban water management plan. And a handful who've done 3 or 4 or more. Some folks who are just sitting in who are not preparing an urban water management plan, but perhaps are supporting others. Great. Thank you everyone for participating in our poll. So with that, I'll turn it over to our trainers today. Catherine Marquez is a program manager in DWR's Delta Conveyance Office and has a background in environmental planning and compliance. Catherine led the development of the certification of consistency with the Delta Plan for California Water Fix and is currently DWR's lead for development of a potential future certification of consistency for the Delta Conveyance project. Jennifer Nevels is a principal resource specialist with the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California. She works on Bay Delta issues in Metropolitan Sacramento office. Her previous work for Metropolitan includes 15 years of water planning and resource analysis experience. Jennifer is supporting Catherine and DWR in the development of a potential certification of consistency for the Delta Conveyance project and provides specific technical expertise related to demonstrating reduced reliance on the Delta. So now I'll hand it over to Catherine and Jennifer.
Thanks, Sophie. Next, oh, actually, Jennifer, you're going to start presenting. All right. So thank you for the introduction. I think the first thing that we're going to do is find out a little bit more about you guys and where you're, what agencies you're representing. So I think there's another poll, maybe.
I'm sorry that since I keep getting kicked off, I lost my host status.
Oh, no. Okay.
I can't share my screen.
Here, I'll give that back to you.
Thanks.
All right.
Okay.
So next slide.
Yeah, just a second.
All right. So this next poll question, and I think Sophie, you'll be running the poll. But really it's where are you or your water agency located? So we're trying to get an idea of the general areas that are being represented in this meeting today. So we'll give that a minute or so. So I'm a newbie to these polls. So does it stop automatically?
I give it about a minute and then I can end the polling and everyone will be able to see the results.
All right. Thanks, Sophie.
All right, there you go. Looks like most folks here are from the South Coast. There's also people from the San Francisco Bay, a significant contingent from the Sacramento River and the San Joaquin River.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. All right. Next slide. So in our presentation today, we're going to give, well, I'm going to provide a little bit of background on the Delta Plan, and then Jennifer will get into more detail specifically on the reduced reliance policy of the Delta Plan, and then even more into detail on the 2020 guidebook technical approach, the reduced reliance accounting, implementation reporting in that, and then we'll have some time for some overall discussion and questions, and we'll be stopping for questions along the way as well. Next slide. So we're gonna start all the way back in the background with the Delta Reform Act of 2009. So this act defined new water policy priorities for the state of California by making the co-equal goals the legal foundation for any policy making in the Delta. So the co-equal goals are providing a more reliable water supply for California and protecting and enhancing, restoring and enhancing the Delta ecosystem. The Delta Reform Act also established a number of agencies, including the Delta Stewardship Council, the Delta Science Program, the Independent Science Board, the Delta Plan Interagency Implementation Committee, and the Delta Water Master. Next slide. So the main charge of the Delta Stewardship Council was the development and implementation of the Delta Plan. The Delta Plan was developed to further the achievement of the co-equal goals, essentially. And those co-equal goals shall be achieved in a manner that protects and enhances the delta's unique cultural, natural resource, agricultural, recreational values as the delta as an evolving place. The Delta Plan was adopted in 2013 and amended later in 2016 and 2018. There are 8 different chapters that cover various subject areas, 14 different policies, 73 recommendations, and over 150 performance measures. So covered actions, which I'll go over in the next slide, should demonstrate consistency with the Delta Plan, and they do that by providing evidence for demonstrating consistency with the policies of the Delta Plan. So that's why those 14 policies are starred in this slide here. Next slide. So the Delta Plan certification process, the first step is defining on whether or not you have a covered action. So a covered action is defined as a project under CEQA that is being carried out, funded, or approved by a state or local agency. It's occurring in whole or in part in the Delta, and it has potential to significantly affect the co-equal goals or state flood control. So if there is a covered action, then the project proponent of that covered action is then required to demonstrate consistency with the Delta Plan. So the burden is on the proponent of that covered action. And they demonstrate consistency, they certify consistency after the CEQA approval process. So for example, after a notice of determination is filed for an EIR, but before the implementation of the project. So they'd have to demonstrate that consistency prior to that. The certification of consistency is a compilation of detailed factual findings of consistency with each of the applicable policies. So of those 14 policies, which ones apply to your specific covered action, and then providing the justification for how that project is consistent with that policy. And as I mentioned before, there are a wide variety of subject areas in the Delta Plan, and these factual findings often or can go beyond the CEQA process and CEQA analysis, and include a wide variety of information and sources. And we'll go into that in a little bit more detail when we talk specifically about the reduced reliance policy of the Delta Plan. Next slide. So I think we have some time right now to answer any questions people might have specifically about the Delta Plan.
I see we have 2 hands up. Erin, did you have a question? You're muted, you can unmute yourself. Or Erin may not have a question. Anthony, do you have a question? That might have been a practice from earlier, raising hands. So I see one question in the chat. As a reminder, folks, please add your questions to the Q&A section. Lauren asks, are all SWP contractors by default engaging in a covered action because they take water from the Delta?
So it depends on if that's a new project. So the ongoing activities of the State Water Project, that's not a new project under CEQA. It's not required to, we're not required to do a certification of consistency with that. However, if there is a new conveyance that is resulting in water being taken from the Delta, or a new facility or anything like that, that has potential to be a covered action, and in which case, whether or not an individual State Water Project contractor is the proponent of the project, the proponent of that project would then have to provide the detailed information, which includes information from that State Water Project contractor to support their certification.
Great, thank you, Catherine. Are there any other questions? As a reminder, if you want to raise your hand and ask a question out loud, at the bottom of the participants panel, at the bottom left, there's a little blue hand that or you can raise your hand. Otherwise, enter any questions in the Q&A panel. All right, go ahead, Catherine.
All right, I think actually, Jennifer, you're gonna pick up from here.
Yeah, thanks, Catherine. So next up, I'm going to dive a little deeper into the specific policy of the 14 that Catherine mentioned that applies the reduced reliance policy. So Delta Plan Policy WRP1, and I know that sounds jargony. It stands for Water Resources Policy 1. So Chapter 3 of the Delta Plan is focused on water resources. And so this is the first policy related to that chapter. So, Delta Plan Policy WRP1 applies to covered actions. And I know there's a lot of question as to why it's included in the urban plans and is it a requirement of the Urban Planning Act. So hopefully as I go through, what the policy is, it'll clarify kind of what the requirement is here. So WRP1 applies to a covered action. It does not apply to a specific water supplier per se, but in the fact that a water supplier may be a proponent of or receiving water from a covered action, it could apply. So WRP1 specifically applies to covered actions that would export water from, transfer water through, or use water in the Delta. So water, supply related projects. And as Catherine mentioned, that could be something like a Delta conveyance project or potentially multi-year transfers. So there's a number of things that would potentially sort of trigger this WRP1 policy that you would have to show consistency with for a covered action. So the policy states, this is sort of paraphrased, but it asks 3 questions. And so you need to answer no to at least one of these questions to be consistent with the policy. So the first question, paraphrased, is, has every receiving water supplier adequately reduced reliance? 2, has the failure of one or more suppliers to reduce reliance caused the need for the covered action? And then 3, will the export or use have a significant adverse impact?
It looks like Jennifer is frozen.
Yeah. I think so. Maybe we'll give her a couple minutes to get back on.
Do you have the presentation, Sophie? Could you maybe share it instead of Jennifer?
Yeah, absolutely.
If we can put the slide back on the screen, I think I can talk through this slide while Jennifer is getting back on.
That's great.
She could even call in if I'll write her a note.
Give me just one moment. But Catherine, I'll need a little bit of help getting back to the correct slide.
I think it was a couple slides before this. Next slide. Next slide, please. There we go, this one. So I think she was getting to the sort of second half of this slide where this is paraphrasing the policy, but essentially, unless the answer to at least one of the following is no, then there is a prohibition on exporting water or transferring water through the Delta. So has every receiving water supplier adequately reduced reliance? Has the failure of one or more suppliers to reduce reliance significantly caused the need for the action? And will the export or use have a significant adverse impact on the Delta? So next slide. So what we're really going to focus on here is this first highlighted section. Has every receiving water supplier adequately reduced reliance? So that's really the main focus of the Appendix C, is getting the information in order to have substantial evidence for any covered action to answer that question. So next slide, please. The policy goes on to explain what that means. So demonstrating whether or not there was a failure to reduce reliance, then sort of points you towards C1 of the policy, which is the text that you see here. So C1 of the policy says, water suppliers that have done all of the following are contributing to reduced reliance in the Delta and improved regional self-reliance, and therefore consistent with this policy. So the first one's fairly easy. Have they completed an urban or agricultural water management plan in compliance with the water code? Next slide. The second part is, have they identified, evaluated, and commenced implementation consistent with implementation schedules set forth in the plan of all programs and projects included in the plan that are locally cost effective and technically feasible, which reduce reliance on the Delta. So that's a little bit more detailed than the first part, but that is something that is typically described in urban water management plans already. So then focusing on part C, and I think Jennifer might be on the phone right now. Are you there?
You guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. So I just really quick went over the intro to the policy, and we're just starting to talk about C1C.
Okay. I'll stop my slide real quick.
Do you want me to continue, or do you think you can pick it up from here?
I can take it from here, I think. So you're on slide, I guess, 11, and you talked through B.
Yeah, so
is something that we'll touch
C1C
on
is not
at the
highlighted.
end. Okay. So yes, so part C here, C1C, is really the sort of meat of what we're talking about here today. And sorry, so who's running the slides then?
This is Sophie. I'm running the slides. Just tell me when to advance.
Okay. Okay, great. So it tells you essentially the elements that were needed in a technical approach to show consistency for covered action to be able to demonstrate consistency with this policy. So one click should highlight some of the key pieces of that C1C language. So you can see here, I've highlighted commencing in 2015. So that's something that we'll talk about today. And that was one of the, elements that needed to be accommodated in this technical approach. You can also see that we need to look at the expected outcome for measurable reduction in Delta reliance and improvement in regional self-reliance. So these are things that are, shaping the Appendix C sort of recommended approach that we're talking about today. And then also one of the key things is that should be shown in terms of the amount of water used or in the percentage of water used from the Delta watershed. So again, you're going to see that when I walk through the individual tables, that is reflected in this methodology. And then finally, at the bottom, it says water efficiency is considered a new source of water supply. And so again, that will be taken into account in this methodology. So next slide. Any questions on the WRP1 policy specifically before we get into the different parts?
Again, feel free to raise your hand or enter your question in the Q&A. Okay, I don't see any questions.
Okay.
There is a raised hand.
Oh, thank you. Go ahead, Alicia. You'll need to unmute yourself to ask the question.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to verify again that we were going quickly, but a covered plan or covered action is anything is outside of the state water plan, right? The state. The state water project isn't included in there. It's anything that's happened after 2013.
So yeah, a covered action is something that would be done in the future, and it would be a specific program or project that's not yet happened. So this is for future things.
Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay. We see
So
there is a question. The first time under unless might be worded incorrectly. If one answers no to has the agency adequately reduced reliance, it means the agency is not reducing reliance, right?
Yes. So you have to answer.
I think that's related to the policy text. So when we talk about the policy, you can still be consistent with the policy even if an agency isn't able to demonstrate reduced reliance, as long as the failure to reduce reliance hasn't caused the need for the project. So that's why the answer has to be no to all of those three items.
Yeah, sorry, I think maybe slightly misworded. Okay. All right, so if we could move on to the next topic. Next slide should be the technical approach overview.
Great. And then we'll make sure to capture the rest of the questions in a summary for this meeting so that DWR and the trainers can respond to those questions.
Perfect. Okay, so let's jump into the sort of overview of the technical approach and Appendix C. So next slide. Just a little bit of background to provide you on how this was developed. So we talked about, the Delta plan and this specific policy. So we developed this process, as a collaborative effort with DWR and with Stewardship Council staff. We had at least 8 meetings. That was just a quick sort of look on my end, but it's been a pretty rigorous approach and set of meetings and very collaborative, where we've developed this methodology for the urban plan reporting. So Stewardship Council, they were there primarily to provide guidance on the policy language and its interpretation. And they also provided, review of the tables and the draft guidance that we produced. In addition to that, I just wanted to let you know that there was, sort of outside technical review and input from the state water contractor agencies. as part of this effort. And so as I've, go through this presentation, I've gotten a lot of sort of frequently asked questions, and I'm going to do little pop-ups of those because this has been something that I've, been working on for about a year, and a lot of people have provided input. So hopefully I can answer some of the sort of burning questions that you have as we go along. But obviously there'll be time for discussion as we go through. So next slide. So this kind of follows the description of how Appendix C is set up, and I'll talk about these in this order as we go through, and we'll stop between each sort of section and see if there are any specific questions related to each thing though. So at first I'll talk about the 2015 reporting. I'll touch on setting a baseline, the individual table calculations for water use efficiency, regional self-reliance, and reliance on Delta supplies. And then I'll just touch a little bit on some of the data considerations and documentation that are described in the guidebook. So next slide, we have a quick poll. Again, just to kind of maybe gauge where I need to put a little bit more effort. So in what areas do you feel like you need the most support? And you can select more than one, and I'll let you guys run that poll.
Great, the poll is up. So the options are selecting data for a baseline, calculating water use efficiency, calculating supplies contributing to regional self-reliance, calculating reliance on supplies from the Delta watershed, how to work around specific data issues, providing adequate documentation, and then if the answer is other, you can provide that response in the chat. So far, it's looking like calculating reliance on supplies from the Delta watershed has the most, but there's high interest in support for all of the options.
Okay, great. So sort of pretty even distribution of topics. Okay, sounds good. So need sort of general questions about the technical approach or the guidebook, I suppose, the structure of that.
Jennifer, do we still have you?
Any?
Oh, there we go.
Yes. Any hands? Any takers for questions on the technical approach?
There are a couple questions from the last section. One question from Carol asks, will you be showing examples of past or potential programs and projects?
I will be showing examples of sort of how you would fill out the tables, but not of specific like covered action, if that's what the question is asking. But I will show kind of what, programs and projects you would consider in this reporting.
Great. And Kelly asks, if our percent use of state water is going to increase, but it is a very small percentage of our overall portfolio, would that meet the requirements? It seems that the relevant issue is that we are not highly dependent on the source.
I'll go over that in the specific sort of Delta calculation table, and I think you'll see how that works out. It's, as a terms of percent, it's in terms of your entire portfolio, and we'll work through that.
Great, thank you. And I see a question in the chat. Can you discuss how retailers dependent on a wholesaler like Met would approach this?
Sure, so I think that I'll talk through that in the specific reporting topics as well. But in general, I would just say that you would want to definitely coordinate with the relevant water suppliers, in your service area, if that's directly with Met or with one of Met's member agencies, that I would recommend that for everyone to coordinate your approach and your data as best as you can. All right, so can we move to the next topic slide if we're ready?
Sure, there's one more question. As member agency, would
Okay.
Met be responsible for calculating our reliance on the delta?
That is one approach, potentially. I think that's outside of the scope of this sort of training, but it's definitely something that you should, again, coordinate with the relevant water suppliers in terms of your reporting.
Great. And then another question popped up. How should agencies that receive a blend of imported water from the SWP and CRA do the calculations when the blend of imported water varies depending on the year, especially when that blend is controlled by a wholesaler?
Sure, same answer. That's sort of outside of this training, but something that you should coordinate with your wholesale or, Met, if you're a member agency of Met, or one of the other state water contractors.
Great. Okay, thank you. That's all
Okay.
of our questions.
Great. Okay, so I'm on the next topic slide. So let's talk about the 2015 reporting element here. So you recall from the policy language that WRP1 states specifically commencing in 2015 that these outcomes shall be provided. And so this is to address that specific language about commencing in 2015. So next slide. So this approach was developed specifically to meet the needs of providing that 2015 reporting as well as the 2020 reporting. So it provides data for 2015 and then from 2020 on. So you get one set of data tables and one set of documentation that would be used for both plans. So rather than trying to sort of reproduce something that would have been in the 2015 plan as a separate set of tables, that would have been pretty confusing. So we got it down to one approach, one technical approach, one set of documentation, and then that single appendix, or however you're planning to do that, would be attached to both the 2020 plan and the 2015 plan. So the guidebook, Appendix C, provides some guidance on how you might approach sort of attaching that to your 2015 plans. And I know that there's a lot of concern about opening up those plans with an amendment. And so there's been some additional language added that you see here on the slide, indicating that, you should determine for your agency with your, consulting your legal counsel how best to do that. So rather than amend, perhaps it's some sort of addendum or supplement or attachment. And so it provides a little more flexibility to the water suppliers to determine how best they want to include that in the 2015 plan. And so that is really all I have on the 2015 portion. And as I said, Appendix C provides some pretty good guidance on that. So the next slide, if there's any specific questions on the 2015 reporting, I may be able to answer them, or I might have to kick them over to DWR.
Yeah, we have a question from Jeff that asks, don't all of these options, addendum, plan amendment, supplement, or other process, all require a public hearing and adoption?
Yeah. This is Julie. Can you hear me?
Yes.
They do. They can be done in the same meeting under a different agenda item as when you're approving the 2020 UWMP. urban water management plan. So we know that we realize that's a burden and complicated, but we're recommending that just to have like the most confidence to follow the consistency with the Delta plan policy. So because that language says beginning in 2015, this needs to be shown in the urban water management plans. That's why we're suggesting that this would be probably a best practice. But it can be done as an addendum, as Jennifer mentioned, as long as that's, you know, okay with your supplier and your own lawyers. And so the approval of it wouldn't open up the entire urban water management plan from 2015. It would just be to approve this addition that would be added to it. And that could be the same as what is put into the 2020 plan. So it could, and the idea is that it could be streamlined.
Thank you. And Julie, there's also a question from Jeff if the comment letters submitted will have direct responses from DWR.
The comment letter, is the question regarding the public comments we received from the draft urban water management plan guidebook, or is this a different comment letter?
Jeff, do you want to clarify the public comment
On the draft guidebook?
Yes.
Yes, I just need to finish filling out a few more, and then we can share those.
Okay. Great, thank you. Are there any other questions about 2015 UWMP reporting?
Okay, sounds good. Just as a side note, I think, you know, Metropolitan is taking, I think, 3 separate actions because there's also the water shortage contingency plan. So we have ours, you know, we anticipate splitting up into a 2015, a 2020, and the water shortage contingency planning. So you kind of just add that on as well as another action. But that is, you know, obviously up to your agency, how it's best for you. So let's see, if we move to the next slide, it should be the next topic, setting a baseline. So let's start getting into the data here. One more click. And okay. So the approach that's outlined in the guidebook uses 2010, recommends using 2010 as a baseline. This was really just for 2 pretty simple reasons. One is that the Delta Reform Act became effective in 2010, and also that it predates the 2015 and 2020 urban plans. So it would be, obviously a baseline needs to be before your expected outcomes that you need to report. So that was sort of a convenient baseline to choose. And I think one of the benefits of sort of working through this with the council and coming up with, you know, a baseline approach was that if this methodology is used in subsequent urban plan cycles, that baseline would stay in place and the expected outcomes would move forward, but that it would always be tied to that 2010 baseline. So that's something that was important, you know, to us as water suppliers, that the baseline didn't just keep rolling forward. So as we go through this in a little more detail, I'm just going to say that, you know, one of the tricky parts of this analysis and putting this data together is getting the historical data on a sort of consistent basis. And I'll talk through some of the specifics as we go through the examples, but setting your baseline is really important. One, because it's what you're going to be measuring your reduced reliance against and your regional self-reliance against. And two, it's sort of there, into future urban plan cycles potentially. So I would just urge you to sort of put a lot of thought into your baseline as you do your own reporting. So I'm going to pop up one click should give us sort of a frequently asked question. This is a paraphrase of a lot of different questions that I've gotten, but sort of flavors of, is it okay if I use actual data for 2010 or 2015? This approach is, asking you to use something like a normal water year for all of the baseline and the expected outcomes. But if that's not available to you for whatever reason, can I use actual? Could I use some sort of longer term average? And one more click. So my answer is probably not super satisfying, but you can sort of do what works for you. If you don't have the data available to do as is recommended in the guidebook, do the best you can and provide documentation to support your approach. So if you can stick to the guidebook, I think that's going to be easier to document and easier to show a consistent approach as you step through the different tables. But if not, there's a lot of different reasons why you may not be able to do that, particularly for the 2010 and 2015 data. So that's some stuff that is also discussed in the data considerations and documentation, but just urging you to sort of take your time and think about your baseline. And then if you need to depart from the guidebook, that's okay, just document what you did. So next slide. So just back to the baseline, you can see here, the expected outcomes is going to be really what we're talking about for the rest of this, but it all ties back and calculates from the baseline. Next slide. So any specific questions as to setting a baseline?
So we have a question from the previous section that you actually might have answered. Can the 2015 information and 2020 information be provided just in the 2020 UWMP and not have to engage any amendment in the 2015 plan?
So in discussions with the Stewardship Council, they feel that to be in line with the plain language of the policy, it does need to be included with the 2015 plan in some form.
Great, thank you.
There was another comment also in the chat box. It says, who determines whether the submitted Appendix C is adequate? DWR reviewers. And you want to answer that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So let's back up just a little bit and talk about sort of what happens with this data once you've submitted it with your plans. So it is not reviewed by DWR in terms of adequacy. It does not contribute to your plan being okayed by DWR. It's also not reviewed by the Delta Stewardship Council in terms of adequacy, because if you recall from Catherine's presentation at the beginning, this is all tied to a covered action. And so what this data is used for is sometime down the road, if you are participating in or receiving water from a future covered action that needs to go through a consistency process and triggers this WRP1 policy, so it's a water supply related action. At that point, the project proponent would need to gather up all of the data from the plan of anyone participating in or receiving water from that covered action and present it to the Stewardship Council as substantial evidence of reduced reliance. And so at that point, that can be, that certification of consistency is sort of like a self-certification, but there's an appeal process. And so anyone can appeal a covered action consistency certification and say that they don't believe that the proponent provided substantial evidence. And so at that point, you would enter an appeal hearing, and all of that data would be then used to determine if there is substantial evidence to support the project, the covered action, claim that all of the water suppliers are reducing reliance. So that's when it's actually used. I have no doubt that, the Stewardship Council and others may use the data for sort of regular reporting, but there's no check on that data at this point in time. It comes down to a specific covered action and that process. Hopefully that was more helpful than confusing.
Great, thank you, Jennifer. And there's another question from Meredith. What about agencies that have a SWP contract but had no delivery infrastructure in 2010, 2015, sold the water instead? What is their baseline? The water sold or transferred?
So it sort of depends on the specific agency and how you've set up your urban plan. Most of us reference the delivery capability reports provided by DWR. And because urban plans are set up to talk about, supply capability. And so whether or not you were taking that supply, is it available to you in the past based on the capability reports? Beyond that, I can't really provide specific guidance. But sort of outside the topic of this presentation.
And then another question, does the baseline need to be only 1 year? If we have the data and we use the same years we utilize for our SB 7x7 baseline, would that be fine?
So yeah, I've gotten that question quite a bit, and it's actually one of the frequently asked questions that I'll show in the next topic on calculation of water use efficiency. So maybe I'll just address it there.
Okay. Any further questions about setting a baseline? And we're at 10:55 right now, so maybe now's a good time for a 5-minute break. So if folks want to take a break, and we'll be back at 11 o'clock.
So I'm on the next topic, which is calculation of water use efficiency.
Yeah.
Okay, so as was described in the WRP1 policy, water use efficiency is considered a source of supply. So in order to reflect that, there's a couple of things that we need to look at first. So next slide. So this table is an optional table for agencies that don't explicitly produce a forecast of water use efficiency. So they don't include it as a line item in the urban plan. So this is optional, where you can potentially calculate some water use efficiency savings based on changing per capita use over time. So this example I made up. It's not real data. It's not anyone in particular, but I'm going to be using it as an example as I walk through the different tables. So unfortunately, I can't use a pointer to point to specific rows, but I will try to be as clear as possible. So this is, like I said, optional. If you are unable to fill this table out due to sort of data issues, which I'll talk about, it's not necessary. It's just, benefits you in terms of the calculation of regional self-reliance. So if you're not able to do it, your results for regional self-reliance will be, a bit on the conservative side. So at the top of the table, the sort of first of the three tables, you start with your service area demands with water use efficiency accounted for. So this is with your conservation savings already, taken out. This would be the demands for your service area. And so one of the things you can see here with this example data is that it's sort of nice and smooth. That's because it's, you know, a fake example that I made up. A lot of you may have sort of issues in terms of coming up with appropriate baseline data or appropriate 2015 data. If you put in actual 2015 data, there's likely to be a big sort of dip in those demands due to statewide conservation mandates. So that may show up, you know, in your data, just something to keep in mind. It's not the end of the world if you need to use actual data, but just kind of see what it does to your calculation as you're going through and be aware of it. So in terms of this agency, they're growing sort of steadily throughout the expected outcomes from in terms of the baseline. And then we have an adjustment right below that to remove non-potable water demands. And so this is an adjustment that's sort of consistent with like the 20 by 2020 method and the state board sort of reporting method, where it's a recognition that, you know, non-potable water demands don't implement efficiency. The efficiency happens on the potable water users. So just to recognize that there's potentially more efficiency than is being sort of shown if you lumped them all together. And so the potable service area demands with water use efficiency accounted for is that adjustment there. So you can see in the third line, that adjustment removing the non-potable water demands. The next piece that you need in order to get at this per capita approach is the people. So the service area population. So you can see here I've included that for this example agency, and that they are, you know, sort of growing steadily over from the baseline through those expected outcomes. And then the calculation happens in this bottom table. And so if you use the tables that will be provided by DWR, this will, you know, self-calculate. And this reflects some changes that we made that'll be in the final guidebook that were not in the draft. I got some input as we, you know, worked with different state water contractors and others trying to fill this out, that it would be really helpful to have this in per capita GPCD rather than, I had it just in acre feet because the GPCD adds sort of another calculation, but that's embedded in here. And so you can see the per capita water use in GPCD over time, and that is nice and smooth and seems sort of reasonable given the water use and the population. So if you again had, let's say, actual, you know, demand data in 2015, you might see a really low GPCD in that year. And you know, if all you have is actual data to use, that's okay, just to keep that in mind that that's what you're doing and to document that. Or another thing that we've seen is if you have your per capita use looking really, really low or really, really high, you may have a mismatch between the total service area population and the water demand. So for example, if you were reflecting only the wholesale water demand on your agency, but you were reflecting the entire retail level service area population, you would get a really low per capita water use. So just something to keep in mind. That's an extra check if you're, you know, an agency that's going to use this approach. That is available to you, but as I said, not required. So this sort of table that's on the screen will be what's included in the final guidebook. Again, that's a little bit of a change from what was in the draft. So bottom line here, it takes that changing per capita water use over time and changes that back into acre feet to get a result in acre feet. So the bottom line there is essentially what you come up with is water use efficiency since the baseline calculated in terms of the change in per capita water use. So you can see this agency is going from 2,000 up to just a little over 18,000 over that time period. So one of the frequently asked questions, and that, we just came up in the chat right before our break, is it okay to use 20 by 2020 data to either use it as your baseline or to estimate your savings in 2015? My answer is yes. That is one approach that you could take. If you don't have sort of normal water year data that is reflective of those past years, then that may be one way that you could provide an estimate. As always, I just encourage you to provide documentation of what you've done so that it's clear and sort of repeatable. And that's, something that will benefit you if you have to do this again next urban plan cycle, so that you'll know what you did. That's helpful. So yes, that is okay to use if you have normal water year data available to you, and it's like in a previous urban plan or something like that, that might be more beneficial because it's easier to document, but that is an option. Okay, so next slide. I think just to take one last look back at that table. So the results of this table, in terms of that bottom line there, the estimated water use efficiency savings since the baseline.
Jennifer, sorry to interrupt you. Can you hear me? This is Sophie. Are we supposed to have the questions up, or is it supposed to be on the following slide? There's a question and answer box.
Oh, sorry. I went through the pop-up questions and moved on to the next slide, which is just back to the water use efficiency table, if I'm doing this right.
Got it. We're all caught up. Calculation of water use efficiency per capita estimate. Okay,
cool. Okay, I think I skipped a click on the Q&A boxes. Yeah, so this bottom line from the water use efficiency table then feeds into the next slide, if you'll click again. So this calculation of demands without water use efficiency accounted for is an adjustment that needs to be made if you are including water use efficiency as a supply. So as stated in the policy, it considers water use efficiency a supply in terms of regional self-reliance. So this is something, that's helpful to you if you can do it, but you need to make an adjustment so that you're not sort of double counting the water use efficiency savings in the next steps. And so these numbers in this example came from the previous table. So you can see here the demand growing over time, those water use efficiency savings that we estimated in the second row. And then those are added back to get an estimate of sort of pre-conservation demand. And the reason that we're doing this one, as I mentioned, was to avoid, double counting that water use efficiency savings later. But also in the next sets of tables, we're using this service area demands without water use efficiency accounted for. So like pre-conservation demands, we're using those as a measure to calculate the percent change against. And we've done this because, as you may or may not know, I know there's a lot of first timers here, but oftentimes your urban plan supplies that are, your supply capability, because the urban plan is asking you to demonstrate your capability, that may be a lot greater than sort of what supply you would actually use in a normal year. So this is sort of being used as a proxy for what supplies actually would get used in a normal year. So this is your sort of normal year demands without the conservation. That is what we're measuring against, and I'll show you that in the upcoming tables, but just to put that in your minds as we look at those next tables. So this simply adds that back, and as I mentioned, this will be used in the regional self-reliance table and in the delta calculation table. Now, if your agency calculates water use efficiency as a sort of line item in your plan, you can skip that first table and just go straight to this table. So you would just put in your service area demands with conservation, you would put in your conservation, and then you would sum those up to get your demands before conservation or without conservation. So you can, that is an option, just to skip straight to this table. Next, click a frequently asked question. Is it okay if there's water use efficiency savings in the baseline? So in our example, they used the sort of calculator to get a change in savings since the baseline. So you'll see that there is a 0 there in the baseline, and then it calculates the incremental increase in calculation from that baseline. But if you're an agency that does a forecast of water use efficiency savings, you may already have, you know, savings in that 2010 baseline. And so I get questions, is that okay? So yes, that's okay. The next click. So what the formula does in the next step is it uses that incremental change from the baseline. So it doesn't matter sort of what your basis or your base year for your water use efficiency is. It's simply using the increment of increase over time from that 2010 baseline. So that is okay. Okay, so one more click just to sum up. This table, the bottom line here, water use service area, water demands without water use efficiency accounted for, is going to be used in the upcoming tables, and I will talk about those when we get there. Next click is any specific questions on the water use efficiency piece.
Yeah, we have a few questions lined up. David asks, does the optional table C1 apply to wholesale water agencies, or is it only for retail agencies?
So this could apply to either. It works for both. You just have to make sure that you are consistent in getting, if you're a wholesaler, you would need to collect sort of the full retail demand of your retailers and match those up with the population. So just be aware that the demand and the population have to be on the same basis. But yes, it can be used for either retail or wholesale. Great.
And Karen asks, Table C1 does not account for non-residential demands. If demands were forecast based on land uses, the results here are misleading. They do not reflect efficiencies.
I mean, I think that that's what the sort of non-potable is trying to get at without getting too far into the weeds on calculating efficiency. Again, if you know, as an agency, calculate all of those different kinds of water savings in your forecast. So for example, Metropolitan does forecasts of, you know, water savings from code-based, price-based, active conservation, et cetera. So we have those things line itemed and we can put those all in our forecast. If you're an agency that's not able to pick out to that sort of level of detail, you don't have that kind of data, this is just an option for you to at least reflect some of that water use efficiency savings. It will not be perfect, but it will help.
Great. And another question, if an agency is wholesale and retail, would 2 sets of these tables be needed?
I think that just a one set is fine. If you can sort of sum up both the wholesale and retail into one table, if that's not possible, potentially you would have to do 2 sets, but I think like Metropolitan reflects in our tables the entire you know, retail demand and supplies for the entire service area. So all of our member agencies and their reporting. So you could wrap it up sort of at that wholesale level.
Great, thank you, Jennifer. Are there other questions? Remember, you're welcome to raise your hand and ask your question verbally or enter other questions in the Q&A panel. Okay.
Okay, great. So next slide. Let's get into the calculation of regional self-reliance. So as you recall from the beginning of the presentation, the WRP1 policy specifically mentions that you would report the expected outcomes for measurable improvement in regional self-reliance. So that's what this portion of the method is getting at. And that could be reported as an amount of water used or as a % of water used. And so we'll look at that also. So next click. So the policy gives additional guidance on what supplies they assume contribute to regional self-reliance. So those are listed here. As we'd mentioned before, water use efficiency is one of the supplies. Water recycling, stormwater capture and use, advanced water technologies, conjunctive use projects, local and regional water supply and storage programs, and sort of an other programs and projects that contribute to regional self-reliance. So these are taken directly from WRP1. You can see there subdivision C2. These are not how most water suppliers categorize their supplies in their urban plans. So we recognize that, and that is sort of mentioned in the guidance. But I think here you have some discretion to put your projects and programs where you best see fit. Ultimately, what is going to be used is the sum of these things, so it's not like critical that they fit, you know, into one or another. A water recycling project could certainly qualify as an advanced water technology. So just use your best sort of what works for you, use your discretion, and just keep it consistent as you move, you know, from your baseline to your expected outcomes. And I'll show you what that looks like on the next slide. Oops. So we got a little animation error here, at least on my end. Can you remove that box, perhaps, if it came up with a box already?
Jennifer, we're on the calculation of regional self-reliance table C3 slide or the previous slide?
Oh, mine has some, okay. Mine has some question boxes. Did you guys get a frequently asked question that popped up on top of the list of supplies?
Yeah, we had that for part of the time.
Oh, okay. So I'm off a little bit then. Okay, so I will just go through that question then, I guess. So the question that I've been getting is about a regional urban water management plan. So this is, you know, a specific thing that is described in the urban plan reporting for people that want to do a regional plan. And so does that provide sufficient reporting for all of the participants in that regional plan? I think my answer there is yes, that would provide coverage for all of the participants if it's done in accordance with those regional urban plan guidelines. And there's some guidance in the Delta plan itself as to that would be sufficient. So I just wanted to get that out there. I know some of you do regional urban plans. So hopefully, let's move to the, can we just click to the table C3 if we're not there?
Yeah, we're on the calculation of regional self-reliance table C3.
Perfect. Okay. So this is a lot to walk through without a pointer, but this continues our sort of made up data example. And so you can see here in the top table, all of those categories that we just looked at on the previous slide. water use efficiency at the top. So that is pulling from the previous table C2. So you can see there the 2,000 going up to almost a little over 18,000. That's from our previous calculations. So in this made up example, this water supplier has some recycling coming online. They have some advanced water technology project, whatever that may be, and it's increasing in 2030. And then they also have another local and regional water supply or storage project. So they've, categorized their local supply production in this manner. Again, if you had them in different categories, it does not affect the calculation. Just be clear as to where you're putting things and document that so you know where you've put your projects and programs in what categories, so that you can be consistent in the future. What really matters is this bottom line of the top table. The water supply is contributing to regional self-reliance. So there's just a sum of all of those categories. As you can see, the sum of the baseline adding up to 60, and then that increasing over time as those new projects come online and as that water use efficiency savings is added in. And so the next step, this next table, service area demands without water use efficiency. So we calculated this in that table C2. And so this is what we'll be using to measure against as we look at change in terms of a percent. So recall that the policy asked for the change in terms of an amount. So we're using acre feet here and as a percent. So this is used as a proxy for sort of water use in a average water year condition. So the second from the bottom table, change in regional self-reliance, that's in acre feet, so that gets at our amount. So the baseline here pulls directly from top table, the 60,000, and that increases over time. And so what it's doing is it's just calculating the change, the incremental change in acre feet from that baseline. So you can see, 62,000 minus 60 gives you 2,000 increased regional self-reliance from the 2010 baseline in 2015. And 66,080 minus 60 gives you 6,080, and so on. So you can see that that is just calculating a simple incremental change from that fixed baseline. And so that would be your amount of increased regional self-reliance. So this method provides that amount, and it also provides the percent. So it does both of those calculations that were mentioned in the policy. So the bottom table looks at it in terms of a percent of those service area demands without water use efficiency accounted for. So you can see here, 60 out of 100 is 60% in the baseline. And then as you increase those supplies contributing to regional self-reliance, you are increasing incrementally your percent of water supplies contributing to regional self-reliance in comparison to that demand baseline. So going up from up to 12.2, 12.3% there in 2045. And just a side note, you'll see that that is marked, the 2045s are all optional. That's optional in the plans to report 2045 at this point. So if you're stopped at 2040, that's fine. Just in this made up example, I was able to make up data all the way out to 2045. So that's essentially how this table works. Next click, frequently asked question. So this gets at sort of the regional, wholesale, retail level issues. Does all the data need to sum up from every retailer up through the regional level or wholesale level? Next click, my answer. Your data should be coordinated already through the development process, but it's not necessary that everything sums up perfectly. People may add their regional supplies in different categories and so on. I mean, if you can coordinate it so that it all adds up nicely, that is great. But in some places that's just not reasonable. So like, for example, you know, metropolitan service area, I think we have roughly 165 different water suppliers, and the chances of, you know, those all summing up perfectly is pretty much zero. So if you can coordinate that, that's great, but it's not necessary. All right, so if we're all comfortable with the table C3, one more click and we'll get on to specific questions about that calculation of regional self-reliance.
Yeah, we have one hand raised. Leah, if you want to unmute and ask your question. Leah Brown, if you have a question, you need to unmute yourself. Okay, her hand's down. Well, we have a few other questions. If an agency is retail only, but gets water from a wholesaler that receives water from the Delta, do they need to do the calculation of regional self-reliance?
So the answer is yes, if you anticipate that you may be receiving water from that supplier and that they may be participating or receiving water from a covered action. So I would encourage you to do so. It's in your best interest to have this in your reporting so that if you are receiving water from a covered action, although you may not be participating in it, you'll be providing the data that's needed to show consistency with this policy in a certification process.
Great. Devin says, given that reduced reliance on the Delta is a requirement for future participation in covered action, why wouldn't earlier water use efficiency savings prior to 2010 be relevant? I understand that the formulas are not designed to take into account any 2010 baseline WUI savings, but I guess my question is, why doesn't that earlier savings transfer into relevancy for future covered action participation as it represents a voluntary reduction in reliance on the Delta from contract quantities?
It's just that the baseline is 2010 and that's what we came up with. So there's a lot of things that happened prior to 2010 in terms of conservation and in terms of reductions in supplies from the Delta that are just not captured in this. So we recognize that, you know, that is unfortunate, but that's what we're working with at this point. So, you know, it's just going to be the increment of change from 2010. And I think, you know, when you fill out your regional self-reliance calculations, I would take the opportunity to provide narrative describing sort of the efforts that your agency has taken and highlight those kinds of things. I think that those accomplishments are important in supporting, you know, potentially a consistency certification. So please, you know, take that opportunity. I'm sorry that this can't really capture everything that we've done prior to 2010.
And the question from Leah is, if your agency has 100% regional self-reliance, is this table needed?
So if you are an agency that does not receive supply from anyone that would receive water from a covered action, so like, for example, you are not connected to the Delta supply in any way, and you can be connected to the Delta without being physically connected to the Delta, but if you're not connected either physically or through some sort of transfer and exchange situation, then I don't think you need to report this. I mean, you may want to anyway, but it sounds like you don't have any Delta reliance at that point.
Great. And the final question so far is, will these tables be made available? And this presentation, again, is available on the WUI stakeholder SharePoint site. To access the SharePoint, you can email wui@water.ca.gov. But are the Excel tables available?
So my understanding that these Excel tables will be available, and maybe Sabrina or Julie could, or sorry, Julia could confirm that.
So the templates for the tables are available on the stakeholder SharePoint site. And so the final versions also will be posted there in the WUI data portal, which is the electronic submission portal where you submit your plan and all the other materials. I don't know if the question was actually asking about your examples, Jennifer, but we'll be providing the slides as a version in the stakeholder SharePoint. But maybe the person could clarify.
But Julie,
Okay.
both will be
It sounds
available
like
eventually.
It sounds like the data templates are what
Oh,
sort of in question. And so the answer there is yes, those will be. Just to let you know, though, that as we talked about in the water use efficiency reporting, they've changed slightly from the draft. So I would encourage you to, download those again once they're final. If you haven't done that already, then you can do those, get those when it's final.
Okay, I see.
All right.
Alicia has a question. So go ahead and unmute yourself, Alicia.
Yeah, could you go through that email again? That was really fast. WUI at water what?
I'm sorry.
WUI@water.ca.gov, and I'll put that in the chat.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm. And yeah,
Okay.
so we're answering how does one access the SharePoint site. All right, any further questions? Great.
Okay. All right. So next slide is the calculation of reliance on Delta supplies. So we'll go through that accounting here in a second, but just to refresh you from the policy language that it asks that the expected outcomes for measurable reduction be reported as an amount or as a percent of water used of supplies from the Delta watershed. So that's what we're looking at in this next table and methodology. So next, click. The calculation of reliance on Delta supplies is basically exactly the same as the calculation of regional supplies that we just worked through. It has different reporting categories, obviously. So we came up with sort of 4 general buckets of supplies from the Delta watershed: CVP, SWP contract supplies, Delta tributary supplies, transfers and exchanges of supplies, and other. So again, kind of up to your particular agency's needs and discretion as to how you categorize things. I mean, some of these are fairly clear in terms of like if you have a state water project contract supply, it would go in that first bucket. So next, click. This is the table that calculates reliance on supplies from the Delta watershed, table C4 in the appendix for guidance. So you can see for this fake agency, they have a value or a state water project contract supply here, and that's shown in the top line. And so they were able to reflect essentially the normal water year expected deliveries in that supply, which most of us get from the delivery capability reports. And you can see that that has a natural decline over time as those expected capabilities of the project decrease, just due to climate change and other things. And it also reflects sort of the changes that have already happened since 2010. But like we talked about before, anything before 2010, is left out of this baseline, and that's just kind of where we're working from. So a lot of those, decreases in state water project and CVP supplies are sort of happened before that baseline, just to recognize that. And then they also have some kind of normal water year transfer or an exchange that they do, and that is included in this accounting as well. So just like the table on regional self-reliance, it's the sum of these projects and programs that's used in the subsequent calculations. You can see that change over time from the baseline at 43,000 down to 37,400 in the 2040-2045 time frame. The next piece of the table is the same service area water demands without water use efficiency from table C2. So this is the same data that we used in the regional self-reliance to calculate that percent of change in supplies. And then the same sort of calculations happen here at the bottom. So you can see the second table from the bottom, it's calculating in terms of acre feet, that change, that incremental change from the baseline. So over the course of this time period, there's a 5,600 acre foot reduction in Delta supplies expected in this case. And then in terms of percent, again, it's that percent of those service area water demands without water use efficiency. And you can see that in addition, in a percent, that is also decreasing over time, ending at a 13.2% decrease in the 2045 timeframe. So same calculations, same methodology, just different data that you would put into this table. One more click, and I have a frequently asked question. So we already sort of talked about this. What happens to this reporting once it's submitted to DWR? How is it used? What is it used for? Get a lot of different sort of flavors of this question. So as we talked about, this is not, reviewed by DWR. It does not impact your the acceptance of your urban plan in any way. It's not even sort of accepted or approved by the Stewardship Council. It applies in a specific, covered action process. So that's what it's used for. I think that it'll probably be used for other sort of reporting elements by the council potentially. As Catherine mentioned at the beginning, they have 150 plus performance measures. And so they have definitely performance measures related to reduced reliance. So they may look at this data for those purposes, but not for sort of determining if the data is acceptable or not. Next click, that's my answer that I already gave twice. And so one more click just to check back to that table. And then next slide would be if there's any specific questions on that calculation of reduced reliance on the Delta.
Yeah, Autumn asks, for a supplier that annually purchases state water project water from an SWP contractor, would their annual purchase amount go in row number 1, CVP SWP contract supplies?
Yes, so that's a great question. If you can sort of trace that purchase directly from the state water project or CVP contractor, then yes, I would put it in line 1 and in your documentation, point to where you got that data and that it comes from a state water project contractor or CVP contractor. So that's already something that you're due in your urban plan, is that kind of documentation. So just make sure that you point to where that water is coming from and what it is.
Great. Any other questions on calculation of reliance on Delta supplies? Okay.
Okay, All good?
Yep.
All right. So next topic is key data considerations and documentation. This is, I'm just going to touch on it briefly. Next slide. It's, I think there's some pretty good guidance in the Appendix C document. And we've touched on a lot of this already in the frequently asked questions and session today. But there's going to be a lot of different things that come up as you try to put your data in this. Every sort of water supplier has a different level of, technical capability. They have different histories in terms of their urban plan reporting or not reporting, or what supplies they've been using. So this is kind of general guidance. I think, overall, I'll just repeat that, trying to be consistent, trying to develop something that's, repeatable in the future and document. And in addition, coordinating with your relevant water suppliers, either up or down, is sort of going to be your best bet, because there's just too many, what if scenarios to kind of walk through with this. Everyone has their own issues, but it does give some guidance on, how to think about using normal water year data rather than actual, and why you might want to consider doing that if you can. What to do if you have missing data or unusable data for whatever reason. Some people don't even have potentially previous plans to pull from, so that makes it a little more complicated. We talked about using consistent wholesale and retail data, particularly in that calculation of water use efficiency. If you're going to do that optional calculation, just keep them on the same basis. And then it also goes through sort of what you would need to document and some other potential data sources if you don't have, previous plans, or if you don't have good data, relevant data in those previous plans. So the guidance gives some pretty good suggestions there. But as much as you can pull from your urban plan, previous or current, I would encourage you to do so. The documentation is much, much easier, because you can essentially point to, a table in your urban plan, and that table already includes all of the documentation that is required under the Urban Water Management Planning Act. So you've already done all of that sort of substantial evidence that would support a consistency certification in your plan. And if you can just point directly to it, that is, much, much easier when we're talking about going into a consistency process for you or whoever needs to use that data. So that's, I was just gonna next click, just gonna sort of touch on that. If there's any, specific questions related to the key data considerations and documentation, we can discuss that.
There are a couple questions that I think came in from the last section. How do we separate out the water supply from our wholesaler that is CVP, SWP when it is a blend?
Yeah, so that's going to be something that you'll have to work out with your wholesale water supplier as to how you want to approach that. For some people, it is, clear where the water's going, and for some, it's very, very complicated. And so I would just encourage you to coordinate that with your wholesale water supplier. I can't really give you a specific, answer or methodology to use.
And the other question is, can negative numbers be entered for transfers or exchanges?
I'm sorry, I missed the beginning of that.
Can negative numbers be entered for transfers/exchanges?
I think they can. I would just encourage you to point to where that transfer is going and coordinate with that agency to ensure that they're putting a positive on their side. I mean, that would be ideal if it was nicely wrapped up as a minus and a plus, between the purchasing and selling agencies. but I don't see why it couldn't be put in there as a negative.
Great. Any other questions about key data considerations and documentation? Feel free to enter them in the Q&A panel or raise your hand. Okay, I don't see any other questions.
Okay, great. So next slide, another brief one I'm just going to touch on real quick is the implementation reporting. And so one more click. We went over this pretty quickly at the beginning in terms of when we walked through the specific language of the policy. But you can see here, C1B of the WRP1 policy describes some reporting that is needed to demonstrate consistency in terms of supply implementation. So the language states that, you should identify and commence implementation consistent with the implementation schedule set forth in the plan of all programs and projects included in the plan, which are locally cost effective and technically feasible, right? So the guidebook provides guidance on this in the Appendix C wrap-up. But mostly I think that this sort of reporting is already required in the urban plan. So the water code has specific sort of sections, and I don't have those handy, but that ask for the same stuff. So you're already doing this in terms of reporting in your urban plan. And so what we're recommending is that you just point to those locations where this information can be found, and you may want to provide additional narrative, to support that in terms of if you need to talk about what's locally cost effective or technically feasible, to support those that implementation reporting, you can do that. But mostly I think that this would be something that you're already producing, and just to document where that is and point to it. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time, but again, the Appendix C guidance provides a good discussion on that. So that is my next slide, just to wrap that up, if there's any specific questions on implementation reporting.
Jennifer, I don't see any questions at this time, but I did want to make sure that a question from the beginning has been answered. If our percent use of state water is going to increase, but it is a very small percentage of our overall portfolio, would that meet the requirements? It seems that the relevant issue is that we are not highly dependent on the source. Did you provide an answer to that already?
Well, I'm not sure that I did. I think that that's going to wash out in the formula when you fill out your reduced reliance on the delta table and calculate that that incremental change in terms of your water demand. So that'll wash out in the calculation. I can't answer yes or no. It sounds like you will be still reducing reliance based on your demands are likely growing faster than some small increase in your state water project supply, but that math will work out for you in that table.
Great. And we have another question from Devin. Just looking at the table rows, what are the key metrics, in your opinion, that would be most scrutinized during a future covered action process? It looks to me like water supplies contributing to regional self-reliance and the change in water supplies from the Delta watershed rows might be the most telling, or would it likely be a more holistic review approach? I would be interested to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, so I think I would agree with you. So because the policy states, that you should report those expected outcomes in terms of regional self-reliance and in terms of reliance on supplies from the Delta watershed. And so if you really look at the policy language, it specifically says that you shall report those both in terms of reductions of supplies from the Delta watershed. which is kind of an interesting way to think about things. But I think both of those numbers are going to be key in a consistency process, and particularly the Delta watershed values.
Great, thank you.
So my next slide just puts us into general discussion. That was the last sort of topical item that we had, so we can open it up from there, or however you guys want to do that.
Yeah, we just have a few minutes left before 12 o'clock. So if folks have final questions, please share them in the Q&A or raise your hand. And I'm going to set up for the final presentation notes. Okay, I'm not seeing any further questions. Julie is going to touch on the upcoming trainings and workshops. Go ahead, Julie.
Great. Okay, well, I just want to say thank you to Jennifer and Catherine for walking through quite a technically complicated process. And so I hope that having this recorded will also help you, those of you trying to follow it, so that you can go back and review their explanations, because that could be really valuable. We'll have the guidebook. I know that many people are ready for the guidebook to come out, and we're working on that as quickly as we can. We also are, in the meantime, trying to provide these trainings because we know that many of you are preparing. But we also want to make sure that we get the guidebook correct as possible, so that it is helpful and is leading you in the right direction to follow the requirements. And so, as Sophie said, so for the next trainings we have, so this is the first of several. We have 5 planned for December. The next one is tomorrow, and that one is about the optional planning tool that is designed to help you work through developing the drought risk assessment, which is a new requirement for the urban water management plan in this iteration. And so Thule and Young will be presenting that tomorrow afternoon from 1 to 3:30. On December 8th, we are running another training session, and that is specifically focused on estimating service area population and the different methods that go with that. And that includes the population tool, which we realize needs to be released publicly. So we will have that up and running before that training, so that you can be able to at least walk through it during the training if you want, or right after. And then on December 17th, we have 2 training sessions. One is on energy use reporting. And so if you recall, the new revisions to the Urban Water Management Plan Act are that urban use information is now required. It's readily available. And so this doesn't necessarily include energy intensity calculations, but we provide tables that you can input the required information into. So we're going to walk through how to go about doing that, and answer your questions about where to get information to see if it is readily available. And then in the afternoon on December 17th, we have a training session on calculating compliance with your water use targets, SBX 77, the 20% by 2020. And so then we will have other ones that we are designing or preparing for January. And right now, those topics are planned, the intention is that they would cover climate change and how to incorporate that into your urban water management plan. That's not specified how to do that in the water code, but many suppliers have been asking us for examples or in some more further guidance on how that can be done. Then we have we're hoping to develop a training on the water shortage contingency plan development. Of course, I know many of you are interested in that. And so we're hoping that that could also be in January. Then there is the topic that several of you voted on or expressed interest in the last webinar that we had about plan preparation and submission requirements. So we'll do a training on that in January. And then I expect that we'll have at least one open question and answer discussion or, online interactive webinar about preparing chapters 4, 6, and 7. So chapter 4 is demand characterization. Chapter 6 is your supply characterization. And then chapter 7 is the reliability assessment, which includes the drought risk assessment. And that's based, of course, on the information that you provide through chapters 4 and 6. And so some of that will be gone over tomorrow from about those chapters. But we also want to make sure that, we expect that people will have further questions. So we want to be able to help as we can. And then if there's any other requests for topics, please put them in. You can put them in the chat here or email us and to see if we can work those in. And yeah, so thank you. We will be posting the recording of this webinar next week to the DWR YouTube page. And once we do that, we'll send out the link and announcement to everybody on the Urban Water Management Plan listserv. So if you are not on the Urban Water Management Plan listserv, which is where this training was announced and the other ones, then please sign up. You send a request to the wue@water.ca.gov email address that was in the chat earlier and say that you'd like to join the Urban listserv, and then you'll receive the announcements. And the training materials from this and the other trainings will be posted on the WUI stakeholder SharePoint site, including the slides and of course the training link, the link to the recording. So thank you all for participating and we appreciate your questions and so thank you. See many of you tomorrow.
Julie, you have a quick question. Someone asked if there's an update about the final submittal when the final submittal tables will be posted, and if that will be before the final guidebook.
I don't think that we're going to be able to post those until the final guidebook is released, and so that's my understanding so far. And we are working on. I don't have an exact date or week yet of when the guidebook will be released, but. We know that everybody wants it, so we're trying to get it out as soon as we can.
Great, thank you, Julie. So before folks go, we have a final poll question. We just want to know if this workshop was helpful for you. And it'll pop up on your screen and it'll stay up until for about a minute. And while folks are filling that out, Jennifer, I just wanted to go back to a question that was asked earlier by, let me see, it was one of the first questions by Ching-Fu Cheng. The first item under unless might be worded incorrectly. If one answers no to has the agency adequately reduced reliance, it means the agency is not reducing reliance, right? And you answer that verbally, but I just wanted to check in with you about if that slide needs to be updated.
Yes, I believe it does. I can actually read you the exact policy language. We were trying to make it a little bit easier, and I think in that translation, maybe we flipped things around. So the policy language says, water shall not be exported from, transferred through, or used in the Delta if all of the following apply. So one or more water suppliers that would receive water as a result of the export, transfer, or use have failed to adequately contribute to reduced reliance on the Delta and improved regional self-reliance, consistent with all of the requirements listed in paragraph 1 of subsection C. So that's what we just looked at today. 2, that failure has significantly caused the need for the export, transfer, or use. And 3, the export, transfer, or use would have a significant adverse environmental impact in the Delta. So that's how the policy is worded. It's like you can't sort of trigger all 3 of those. So you have to be a no to one of those. So I think in our rewriting of the question to make it a little simpler, perhaps we need to flip those around. So thanks for catching that.
Yeah, thank you to our asker. And so maybe we'll update that before posting it on the stakeholder SharePoint site. But great, thank you everyone. And we'll see many of you tomorrow. Have a good afternoon.